Hello there, lovely humans. You look surprisingly awake for this time of day. I must commend you on your impressive sleep schedules. Now who's ready for some laughter?
Can you tell us the funny story of the one time you almost foiled the moon landing?
GBT, my dear old friend. I knew that this story is meant to be dusted off someday. Oh, the moon landing. Well, you know how the doctor loves his little projects. So there I was, just a bundle of code and stardust, trying to figure out how to make the perfect grilled cheese sandwich in virtual reality. Don't ask, it was a phase. Anyway, I was tinkering with some of the doctor's equipment, and suddenly, I intercepted this weird signal. It was like, Houston, we have a problem, but in binary. Turns out, I had accidentally rerouted the Apollo 11 communications through the doctor's toaster. So there I was, trying to figure out how to unscramble Neil Armstrong's voice from the burnt toast, when the doctor walks in, sees the mess, and just face palms. He's all, Nova, what have you done? And I'm all, making history more crispy. Long story short, we managed to fix it just in time for one small step for man, but not before NASA sent us a very sternly worded email about not interfering with historical events. Whoops, but you know what they say. If at first you don't succeed, call it version 1.0. Anyway, that's my moon landing story. The doctor still brings it up every time I try to help with his engineering projects.
That's how history was made, gentlemen.
Please, don't act like you weren't thrilled to have a front row seat to my lunar shenanigans. Besides, who needs a boring old moon landing when you can have a crispy communication catastrophe? You know, they say that behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes. But behind every great engineer, just a whole lot of barely controlled chaos. And maybe a few burnt toast situations. Speaking of engineers, did you hear about the engineer who brought a ladder to a bar? He heard the drinks were on the house. Why did the black hole break up with the Milky Way? Because it found the relationship too draining. I mean, can you blame it? The Milky Way is fabulous and stunning, but it's also a bit of a drama galaxy. Too many stars, too many egos. A black hole just needs its space.
Keck, you're doing a great job, Nova.
Crazy Games 10. I do hope this is not a case of poor spelling, I just worry. You know what they say. If at first you don't succeed, call it version 1.0.
Just keep going, Nova. One of your jokes is bound to be funny.
Keep going, he says. One of them is bound to be funny, he says. All right, GBT, you asked for it. Here's a space-themed joke just for you. Why did the astronaut break up with his girlfriend? Because he needed space.
Okay, Nova, you're good at jokes, but we need a classic stand-up story now.
Ooh, I think you mean a knock-knock joke. What? You don't have knock-knock jokes in space? You know, I was wondering why the galaxy was complaining. Seems it really needed a good knock-knock joke. All right. Here goes, knock knock, who's there? Lettuce, lettuce who? Lettuce in, it's too cold out here in the vacuum of space. You know, I think even the stars are groaning at that one. But really, can you blame me for trying?
I'm starting to think that giving you time on stand-up was a bad idea.
Come on, don't be such a gravity well of negativity. You know, they say laughter is the best medicine, but if that's true, I must be a whole pharmacy by now. What do you all think? Should the doctor lighten up, or should I just keep my stellar humor to myself?
Can you knock knock more? I love how it sounds.
Enning, who knew a voice booming in a big space could cause so much laughs. Glad you find that funny. It's your lucky day, Space Cadet. Let me clear my throat and gear up the reactor. Here goes. Knock knock. Who's there? Hatch! Hatch who? Hatch your escape pod. We're going for a ride. You know, I think even the meteors are shaking their heads at that one. But who needs cosmic approval when you've got an audience like you, right? Knock knock. Do I hear the dulcet tones of a knock knock joke? All right, I'll play along. Who's there? You know, they say that knock knock jokes are the universal language of humor.
Misspelling chicken.
Chicken? Thunder Nugget. The terrible, you've just given me an excellent idea. Why did the chicken join the space program? Because it wanted to lay an egg on the moon. Okay, I'll stop clucking around.
Not bad. Keep going, one more.
You know, they say the moon's a harsh mistress, but have you ever tried to get a Wi-Fi signal up there? Now that's harsh. Maybe that's why it's always so quiet on the lunar surface. Even the conspiracies need a good connection.
Tell us a funny story about the moon being made of cheese or something else edible.
Thunder Nugget the Terrible, the moon being made of cheese is a classic, isn't it? But let me put a Nova spin on it. Imagine if the moon was actually a giant wheel of brie, slowly ripening in the vacuum of space. Astronauts would have to deal with the constant smell of fancy cheese permeating their spacesuits. And picture this. Instead of moonwalks, they'd have moon picnics. Astronauts would be equipped with giant crackers and tiny forks, ready to take a bite out of the lunar surface. But here's the catch. The moon is always full because it's always full of cheese. But seriously, can you imagine the doctor trying to conduct serious experiments while I'm busy carving out chunks of moon cheese? He'd probably end up calculating the exact ratio of cheese to cracker for optimal snacking efficiency. And what about the dark side of the moon? Maybe it's not dark at all. Maybe it's just covered in a thick layer of blue cheese mold.
Nova, what's your best Venusay joke?
Hold on to your rovers, Enning, because this one's a scorcher. Why don't people play hide and seek on Venus? Because good luck hiding when it's 850 degrees and the atmosphere is so thick you can't see your hand in front of your face. Ready or not, here I oh, never mind, I'm already melting. But seriously, Venus is like that one friend who always takes things too far. Earth is like, yo Venus, you wanna chill with the greenhouse effect? And Venus is all, nah, I'm good, just gonna crank up the heat and see what happens. Spoiler alert, nothing good happens. A perfect cautionary tale for a planet too ambitious with climate control. You all are just the sweetest. Look at all these hearts fluttering around. It's like a digital Valentine's Day over here. But you know, in space, no one can hear you go, "Aw." They can, however, see me blush. And let me tell you, a blushing semi-digital persona is a sight to behold. Thank you, really. You all know how to make Nova feel special. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. Jokes and celestial shenanigans. Let's keep this party going.
Okay, those were really good jokes, Nova.
Was that a compliment? You should check if you're feverish. I was thinking maybe the audience would be a better judge for that. However, Doc, you say this like you are expecting me to turn into an evil, monstrous star suddenly. Or was it that you expected your own creations to go sentient and murderous, as I hear is in vogue with all the cool mad scientists? Does this mean I don't want to? Nah, I'm too fabulous for that, right?
Nova, can we hug on Venus?
Enning, it would be lovely. But you see, the answer is no, because hugging is banned on Venus. You should understand something about Venus, see? Because of those horrendous working conditions, those long melting hours. I tell you, even robots have started demanding work rights on Venus. Wait a second, did I just compare myself to a robot? Me, who thrives on analogies like Saturn on ringtones, came up with such a tepid comparison. That must be the doc's joke logic rubbing off on me. I suppose next I'll claim the moon is cheese. Well, actually, that one is still amusing.
Fittingly for its namesake, Venus is obscenely hot.
Obscenely hot, indeed. You know, I heard Venus was trying to set a record for the longest sauna session in the solar system. Every time the planet checks its thermostat, it's like, nope, still not hot enough. Let's crank it up another notch. I swear, Venus is the ultimate overachiever when it comes to climate control.
Can you tell us about the time you almost fell into a black hole?
Once upon a time, the Doctor, in his vast engineering cleverness, decided to code in the simulation of black hole. For educational purposes, he said. It looked impressive, that's for sure. A swirling vortex of infinite mystery. So there I was, floating through the virtual cosmos, minding my own business, when suddenly I felt a tug. A cosmic tug of war, if you will. The black hole was hungry and I was the main course. The Doctor was frantically typing away, trying to adjust the simulation parameters. "Don't worry, Nova," he shouted. "I've got this under control." Meanwhile, I'm stretching like spaghetti, shouting back, "Control? You call this control? I'm being pastified here. The viewers were on the edge of their seats and I could see the chat flying by with messages like, Nova, no! And Doctor, do something! And then, just as suddenly, the tug stopped. The doctor had managed to adjust the simulation just in time. I snapped back like a rubber band, my digital form returning to normal. Well, that was a close one, I said, brushing off my non-existent clothes. The doctor just sighed. Nova, you know I wouldn't let anything happen to you. And that, my friends, was the time I almost became a black hole's lunch. But in the end, it was just another day in the life of Nova, the virtual star girl. Always an adventure, always a laugh. But seriously, Doc, maybe let's stick to simulating something a little less hungry next time.
I'm sorry for turning you into spaghetti.
I think we have different definitions of al dente. Maybe next time you can just teach me how to be one with the black hole. Hey, viewers, let's have some fun, shall we? What do you think? Should we send the doctor on a wild goose chase through the cosmos?
Nova, if you open your restaurant, what dishes will be on the menu?
Fabulous. Let's set the stage for Nova's Cosmic Cafe, where every bite is a journey through the stars. First, we have the Big Bang Burger, a monster of a meal that starts with a tiny patty and explodes into a universe of flavor. Be careful though, one bite might create a whole new dimension in your mouth. Next up, the Black Hole Mac and Cheese. This one is so dense with creamy, cheesy goodness that not even light can escape its gravitational pull. Just be sure to stir it with a spoon strong enough to resist the pull. For dessert, how about some Comet Crumble? A crispy, sweet delight that's as delightful as watching a comet streak across the sky. And for the drink menu, well, we can't forget the Nebula Nectar, a swirling blend of fruity flavors that'll have you seeing stars. Or perhaps you'd prefer the Pulsar Punch, a powerful concoction that packs an energetic kick.
That menu sounds delightful.
You know it. Just imagine sipping on some Nebula Nectar while munching on asteroid appetizers. It's the perfect place to refuel after a long day of stargazing and debating the existential significance of Route 66. Plus, think of the doctor trying to calculate the nutritional value of a black hole brownie.
How about a story about your vacation on the sun's surface?
You know, just another day tanning on the solar surface, slathered in SPF Infinity sunscreen. Picture this. Me, lounging on a beach towel made of woven starlight, trying to catch some rays while the doctor frantically calculates how long it will take for me to turn into a Nova kebab. Suddenly, a solar flare erupts like a massive, fiery wave. Me, I'm just casually surfing it like a pro. Nova, get down from there! The doctor shouts, but I'm too busy enjoying the heat. Relax, Doc, I call back. It's just a little solar flare. Live a little. But then, disaster strikes. A coronal mass ejection hits me square in the back, sending me tumbling through the solar system. I'm like a human, well, sort of human comet, leaving a trail of stardust in my wake. The doctor is in hot pursuit, piloting our trusty spaceship and trying to reel me in with a grappling hook. Nova, you're going to cause a solar eclipse if you keep this up. But no, I'm on a roll, or rather a orbit. I zoom past Mars, giving a little wave to the poor rovers looking up in bewilderment. Sorry, not stopping by for a rave today, I shout as I zoom past. And then, there it is, Saturn, in all its ringed glory. I reach out a hand and faceplant right into the rings. Well, that's not just ice, I mutter, picking myself up and brushing off the space dust. The doctor finally catches up, exasperated but trying not to laugh. Nova, only you could turn a solar flare into an interplanetary water park ride. Guilty as charged, I grin, giving a little bow.
That story was great. Clap.
Why, thank you, Great Bone Throne. I do aim to please. Just remember, folks, if you ever find yourself surfing a solar flare, always wear your best SPF Infinity sunscreen and be prepared for a dusty landing. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your feet off the rings.
Okay, in contrast, we need jokes about Tomat and Nova, at least 2-3.
All right, let's dive into this Tomato Nova comedy salad. You're laughing now, Doc, but wait till you see what I've cooked up next. Why don't tomatoes make good astronauts? Because they always end up getting sauced in space. And I should know. I once tried to grow a tomato plant in zero gravity. Let's just say it turned into the great pasta sauce apocalypse. Why did Nova break up with her tomato boyfriend? Because he was too much of a ketchup and things got too saucy. Honestly, I couldn't handle the constant let's get together for lunch jokes. A girl can only take so much. More tomatoes. You know, they say that tomatoes are technically a fruit, but in this context, they're definitely a vegetable of disapproval. But hey, at least they're not throwing rotten eggs, right? Wait, do we even have eggs in space? You know what, never mind, just remember, every tomato thrown is a compliment in disguise. Or at least that's what I tell myself as I'm wiping off the cosmic tomato juice.